this is the last episode of Arab Affairs in the year 2022, and next Saturday would be seeing the beginning of a new year, 2023. Hopefully it would be filled with peace, prosperity and serenity to the whole world. During 2020, there has been lots and lots of changes. We have seen some of the geopolitical changes in the whole world, new alliances, new incidents that shaped up some of the future alignments. We've seen some crises that had their repercussions on the whole world and the Arab world part of that. The whole world was hard hit in 2020 by the coronavirus pandemic. That extended until the year 2022. At the beginning of 2022, there was this war, the Russian operations in Ukraine, which has changed the economies of the whole world and had its own repercussions. We'll be speaking about 2020, rather 2022, and what emerged in 2022. Despite all what happened during 2022 that has shaped up the future of the whole world at this upcoming stage, the Arab world was able to gain some of the fruits of its activities and hard work. We have seen some of the huge summits taking place in this or during this year in the Arab world. We have seen tripartite summits and huge other taking place in between Egypt, Jordan and Iraq from one side. We've seen the Chinese president coming to the Middle East for the first time to Saudi Arabia, joining a very important Chinese-Arab summit. We've seen the COP27 taking place here in Egypt, where the whole world were here to discuss an important issue, the climate change issue, which also has its own repercussions on the whole world. And it was described by the whole world as a very successful indeed, where Egypt has exerted its utmost effort to bring it to light in this status. We've also seen lots and lots of important developments occurring in the Arab world, and some pleasant, some were not that pleasant. However, we are hoping for the year 2023 to bring us all peace, all serenity and prosperity for the Arab nations. Before we delve into our discussion, let's first have a quick look on the Arab news that took place during this week, and we'll come back for more discussion.
Armed Forces Chief of Staff Osama Askar returned home after concluding an official visit to Saudi Arabia. During his visit, Askar and his Saudi counterpart Fayed bin Hamad Al Ruwaili presided over the closing session of the 9th Egyptian-Saudi Military Cooperation Committee. The two sides agreed to expand military cooperation in the fields of training, qualifying and exchanging military expertise between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, with the aim of achieving the two countries' military interests. Askar hailed efforts exerted by the committee's members of both sides, as well as reaching consensus regarding various fields of military cooperation. The visit included an inspection of a Saudi company which is responsible of military industry in the kingdom. Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghait asserted readiness to support the Libyan unity through a political path, including holding elections. During Abul Ghait's meeting with Presidential Council Chief Mohammed Al-Menfi in the League's headquarters in Cairo on Tuesday, the meeting discussed the latest developments in Libya and efforts to settle the crisis. Abul Ghait held an expanded meeting with Al-Menfi and the accompanying delegation with the presence of permanent representatives of the Arab League. The United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs published a report to shed light on violations and killings by Israeli occupation forces against Palestinians across the occupied lands. According to the United Nations report, the number of Palestinians killed by the occupation forces fired during search and arrest campaigns this year across the West Bank reached 75 Palestinians, including 16 children. The report also said the Israeli occupation troops demolished nearly 57 houses belonged to Palestinians in eastern Al-Quds and the West Bank. Benjamin Netanyahu sealed a comeback as Israeli Prime Minister as his cabinet was being sworn in, with promises to expand illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank and to pursue other policies criticized at home and abroad. Netanyahu, on trial for graft charges he denies, has repeatedly pledged to promote tolerance and pursue peace. He told Parliament that signing more peace agreements was his top priority, along with thwarting Iran's nuclear program and building up Israel's military capacity. Landmark talks between the Syrian and Turkish defense ministers in Moscow have included border security and how Turkey can act jointly against Kurdish fighters. A Turkish official described Wednesday's meeting as positive. That echoed a Syrian Defense Ministry statement issued after the meeting, which was also attended by the Russian Defense Minister and the Syrian and Turkish intelligence chiefs. The meeting was the highest level encounter reported between the sides since the start of the Syrian war more than a decade ago. Turkey has played a major part in the conflict, backing opponents of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and sending troops into the north. Syrian Kurdish-led forces said Thursday that they had launched an offensive against Daesh terrorist group days after its gunmen launched a deadly prison attack. 6 Kurdish fighters were killed when Daesh terrorists attacked a complex in Raqqa in a bid to free fellow rebels imprisoned there. The Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces said the offensive, dubbed Operation Al Jazeera Thunderbolt, aimed at eliminate Daesh terrorists from areas that had been the source of the recent terrorist attacks. The SDF said the operation was being carried out alongside the US-backed coalition, although there was no immediate confirmation from the international force that they were taking part. Tunisia's President Kais Saied slammed critics who are working to destabilize the country. Just 11.2% of registered voters took part in the December 17 polls for a new parliament. Turnout was the lowest since the 2011 elections, has seen a blow to Saied and his political program. He then lashed out at unnamed critics, accusing such rivals of drowning in corruption and treachery and of plotting against the state and its internal and external security.
Welcome back, and to highlight some of the developments that took place during this year and discuss what we have achieved so far, we have with us over the phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon to you, sir, and hopefully a Happy New Year to you and your beloved family.
Thank you. Good afternoon. God bless you and all the Egyptian and the Arab and the Muslim community in the whole world. We hope, inshallah.
Thank you so much. And I guess this year has seen lots and lots of developments and lots of emerging situations. How can we describe this year in sense or in terms of how it developed to be particularly for the Arab world?
In the whole evaluation, it was good. It has many good things and it has many challenges also. And this is about what life is going on. Positive things that we have seen, the Arab Summit in Algeria. We were waiting for this for a couple of years. Now the summit was successful. All the Arab leaders met there. We have seen plenty of good conferences. The one of the 9 Arab states, the 6 Gulf states plus Egypt, Iraq, and Jordan, with the American president, where we succeed to build an Arab front to support the Palestinian question. We have seen the Chinese-Arab dialogue. We have seen the American-African conference also. All these activities was participated by our president or by Egypt in general. So many active and positive things. Negatively, we have our headache in the region where people of the same country are fighting each other, whether in Syria, in Libya, in Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, and we are trying to contain all these problems, and we are doing a fine job, I must say. On the Egyptian level, I am watching with full attention the efforts of the Egyptian, the government and the people in order to make more and more development. And thank God that even with the problem of the Corona-19 or the crisis of the war in Ukraine, Egypt, among very few number of countries, succeed to face all of this, and we are still one of very few countries. We have our economy is developing positively. America is diminishing, China is diminishing, the whole European continent is diminishing their economy in this year. So I am quite satisfied, but I hope for more, because we need more and more development to cover our expand of population. We have a big challenge with population. I always say that we gave birth to a new citizen much more than twice of a country in the size of Greece. This is a big challenge, and we have to cover it. We have to make a bed for every child, a desk in the school, a place in a hospital, and all of this costs us a lot. And we are for it. We are doing a quite good job, relatively, also on the economic field.
Mm-hmm. Your Excellency, let me here divide what you have said as a conclusion to the whole developments in the Arab world to some parts, because some of them were very, very important events. For instance, let's start from the latest summit that was held between Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq, and hosted also the French President Emmanuel Macron. This kind of development or this kind of cooperation, trilateral cooperation, and how do they reflect on the Arab world? How do they show a kind of role model to what's supposed to be cooperation among the Arab countries?
This is another sort of activity, because we have the umbrella, the wide umbrella of the Arab League. The Arab League is the 22 countries. They have their own free trade area covering 18 countries. Then I always ask those countries who are ready to go further and deeper and wider to go ahead. So we have this new alliance between Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq. We have what we call the Agadir Declaration countries, those countries who are seeing the Mediterranean, and they have agreements with the European Union, the association agreements. So we establish what we call the Agadir Group. 8 Arab countries are exchanging much deeper relations there. So I expect that any group of Arab countries, sub-regional groups we call it, who are ready to go furthermore than the whole big umbrella of the Arab League, it's most welcome. Take the Gulf states, the 6 Gulf states are ahead of what the Arab League is doing right now. So those activities are addition to our economy, addition to our political and security aims.
Indeed. Another two important summits that you spoke about were the Chinese visit to Saudi Arabia and this huge summit that gathered together the Gulf countries and the Arab countries on the other hand. Definitely the Gulf countries, which we enjoy together excellent relations. And another one that was the US-Africa summit that took place right after this important summit that took place in Saudi Arabia. How do you view the significance of both summits taking place consecutively for the Arab world and definitely for Africa as well?
This is another sort of practicing effective and active diplomacy. We all have the umbrella of the United Nations organization, but also we have special relations with Europe, we have special relations with the United States, with China, and we establish this sort of summits between Arabs and China, Arabs and America, Arabs and India, and we have witnessed many of those activities. It is good because it gives us a good chance to talk to the big powers in the whole continent, in the whole world, whether it is America or China or Russia or India, name it. So we are raising the flag of Africa, we are raising the flag of Arab countries where we can benefit much more from this very specialized meetings. So we are covering everywhere, and I really admire our diplomacy, which is hosting many representatives in Cairo. Cairo is becoming a very busy city. Sharm el-Sheikh now has received plenty of conferences. It is a city of conferences among the whole world. And this is a story of success. I hope that we continue like that. I hope we benefit from all these meetings, because the meeting in America between the United States and the African countries, it was a good chance for every leader, including, of course, our president, to meet his counterpart. And in a conference like that, which takes place in 3 days, I think our president made something like 30 meetings on bilateral level. This is good, and this is another sort of practicing very active diplomacy.
Your Excellency, before I go to the COP, because this is a big event that took place also in the Arab world in Egypt, hosted by Egypt, but let me here take the important visit by the Chinese president to Saudi Arabia, where he put some of the points of strength for the Chinese-Arab relations at this upcoming stage. How do you view this points that were put of strength? How do you view the importance of this summit at the backdrop of the developments taking place in the whole world, particularly the Russia-Ukraine war?
I think it is a very important side of our foreign policy. And as an old diplomat, I am proud of the Egyptian policy towards China. We were the first third world country who recognized the Chinese Revolution in 1956. Gamal Abdel Nasser, with his special relations with Mao Zedong, And since then, we were punished from the America and the European by the tripartite aggression in 1956. We paid a lot because we made this sort of relation with China. And after 40 years now, the United States, who was blaming us for this sort of relation with China, now China is the largest and the most important trade partner and economic partner of United States. And as you will know, China have the largest reserve of dollars in the whole world. So China is a good investor and a good partner to the United States. So I always repeat that those who differentiate with us, who didn't agree with our policies, they follow this policy late after 40 years.
Yes, Your Excellency, Your Excellency, Your Excellency, just stay with us. We'll just take the adhan and we'll come back.
الله أكبر الله أكبر